Well, hello, friends, family, potential test group members. This is one of the first videos that you'll probably watch if you're getting ready to participate in this exercise program. This one's going to be devoted to equipment. There's not a lot of equipment that you need for this, but there are some safety items and some things to go over before we get started. So, without further ado, let's take a look. The first and among the most important pieces of equipment that we'll be using are some dumbbells. You can see that I have a pretty standard set of dumbbells here that goes from 5 pounds to 40 pounds. These are more than what I need, to be perfectly honest. I don't know that I've picked up the 40s at all throughout this process. So for beginning, I would say 5 pounds through 20 pounds, even for bigger guys, is probably going to be enough. Most of our heavy lifting we're going to be using our body weight for, so this is going to be overhead presses, tricep extensions, things that you typically don't need a whole ton of weight for. I also have some random vinyl weights down here. Sometimes we're going to do weighted circles and things where 1 or 2 pounds is going to be enough. The plungers are not going to be included in the workout, I'm sorry. One thing that I did pick up along the way that is a completely optional accessory are these little add-on weights. If you've spent some time in the gym, you might recognize these types of things. These are magnetic weights. These are 2.5 pounds, and I have 1.25 pounders above them. And these stick on the ends of your dumbbells as thus. So if you're not ready to go up a full 5 pounds, you can put that on the end and do a 2.5 pound increment, especially when you're doing things with straight arms out to the sides. A 5 pound increase can be a whole lot for one jump. So those are nice to buffer that increase a little bit. If you don't have them, not a big deal. Just stay on that lower weight until you're comfortable enough to step up. It's not going to be a problem. This particular weight set I got on Craigslist for about, I think around $100. That would be my recommendation for where to look, would be in used exercise equipment. I've shopped out weights on regular regular stores, Dick's Sporting Goods, places like that. Usually they charge about $1 a pound for iron. So if you do the math, a pair of 20-pound dumbbells ends up being a $40 investment. And if you can find a used set like this, then you can get the whole set for quite a bit less. So that would be my recommendation. You're going to see that I have a fan, which I would highly recommend because we're going to be working out hard. It's not necessary, but I find it to be a very helpful accessory. And here is the DVD player that I use. It's just a 7-inch screen. I'm going to be posting these videos on YouTube, so probably a laptop or a computer is more likely for you, but you will need something to view the videos on. As we swing over here, we're going to get to my weight bench. This is an adjustable bench that inclines and declines. I had this before I started. For all the moves that we're going to be doing, all you need is a standard height dining room chair. So certainly don't go out and buy anything. If you already have it, great. If not, don't worry about it. These little guys here are foam yoga blocks. These can be purchased on Amazon.com or in Target, Kmart, anything like that for $10 to $15. What these are going to do is give you a platform to rest a hand on during yoga poses if you can't go all the way down where the pose recommends, and that allows you to do sort of a starter version so you can still do the pose but without overstretching or hurting yourself. We are going to be doing a lot of yoga and stretching, so I would recommend picking up a set of those if you can. Over here I have a couple of optional accessories that I just happen to like. The weight gloves kind of help with, let's go back over here to the dumbbells real quick. I don't know if you can see this, but these are pretty rough textured grips on there, and it can be a little rough on your hands. So I like to wear weightlifting gloves when I'm using those particular dumbbells. And here I have my one and only piece of additional safety equipment. I have kind of a dodgy lower back. It runs in the family, so when I have weight supported out in front of me doing curls or anything of that nature, I go ahead and put that on. If you have a bad knee, a bad elbow, a bad back, and you need a brace or something, put it on. There's nothing worse than feeling good about a workout routine and starting to get fit and see that scale moving in the right direction and then having to skip 2 weeks because you hurt yourself and you see all that progress go away. So take a little bit of time and figure out what you need to do to protect yourself. Don't lift anything that feels uncomfortable. Don't do anything that hurts you, and you'll be just fine. So you'll see throughout the videos, there will be times that I will put on the lifting belt just to protect that lower back. Okay, so yes, we are pointing at the floor on purpose. This is probably, as far as maintaining safety for me, my most important piece of equipment. This is about 1/4 inch thick of workout padding. Let's go ahead and pull the rug back. You probably recognize this. You've seen it on gyms and in floors. It's just a nice foam rubber surface that gives you some impact resistance. When you're jumping around and moving around, it's best not to be slamming down onto hard concrete, which is right below this. So I put down this workout flooring. You can see I've got one of the seams duct taped together here because the way the pieces fit together didn't match, and these are from 2 different sets of workout flooring. You can usually find these at Ross, discount stores, liquidation places for, you know, I don't know, $5-10 for a pack of them. If you're working out on a concrete floor, I would say this is a pretty necessary option. If you've got a carpeted floor with a carpet pad underneath, not so much. If you're on Berber or something that's just a real tight-knit carpet on top of a hard floor, I would go with some sort of a padding. And then the rug over the top not only provides a little bit of additional padding, but you can see the way the floor locks together. If you put lateral pressure, like in some of the yoga moves, your downward dogs and some of your wide leg bend over stretches, you might end up putting sideways pressure on them and causing the workout flooring to come apart, causing you to get into the splits far before you're ever ready to do so. So I like to put the rug on top because that just holds everything together and makes sure that when I'm pushing with my legs or my arms, that nothing's going to come apart and nothing's going to slip on me. I got this piece of carpet at Home Depot for, I think, $15 or $20. So if you're working out on the flooring and you have a slick surface under it like concrete, then the rug on top is a good safety add-on. All right, and I saved probably the most complex apparatus for my set of equipment for the last. Now, there are other options for this. I basically use these high resistance workout bands to substitute for a pull-up bar because I'm just a little too heavy and not quite strong enough to break out 10 or 12 pull-ups multiple times in a row. So I have two sets of bands up and over here, and depending on the type of move and how strong I'm feeling at that particular one, I'll either use the green band, which is the heaviest one, where I'll grab both sets and pull those down. You can also adjust how far back you sit, or try and get in a seated position rather than a kneeling position to adjust the tension on them. There's a lot of different things you can do. The complex part about this was the mounting of it, and I'm going to climb up on a ladder and show you guys how I did that in just a moment. However, you don't necessarily need to go with this particular setup. I know when I was working out at my mom's house, she has a Bowflex, and it has a pull-down bar that, instead of doing pull-ups, you pull down on the bar that's wide, so you can do wide grip, reverse grip, all types of different pull-ups you have. So if you have a universal weight machine or something like that, you can use that. If you have a pull-up bar in your garage, you can always use the pull-up bar, and you can use a chair down below it and use your leg to assist you pulling up until you work up to full pull-ups. But this is my solution for now, so I will show you how I got this attached to the ceiling and sort of the safety system that I use to make sure I don't smash myself in the face. Okay, so here we are up on the ladder, and what is all of this mess, Josh? What have we got going on here? Well, I will tell you. So I'm a little paranoid about safety, and as I mentioned, one of these carabiners under 100 pounds of tension flying down into the top of my head is really not on my list of things to do anytime soon. So I've got a couple of different systems to help prevent that from happening. You can see at the top I have just two standard eye bolts, and these are both in line with the studs. I use my stud finder to locate them, but also you can see the garage door is obviously going to be mounted into a stud, and you can follow it over in a straight line from there. So I have two of these bolted into the top. Honestly, one of them would be enough. Each one of these I tested individually by hanging on it myself and swinging around and jumping up and down, so they're real solid. Even though they are, I went ahead and put two in because, it's your head and a flying piece of metal potentially. So I have the two of them. The main weight is being supported by these two carabiner D-rings, and now these have screw down safety features, so they actually won't unlock or open up if you don't have the collar unscrewed. There's also a nylon safety rope that's used to tie a canoe to the top of a car, and that comes down from the second ring at the top. And then in case the second ring that the bands are looped through breaks, I have 7 strands of 550 paracord that are holding that together. So if that loop breaks and this comes down, this is going to catch the bands before they come down and snap into you. So I really have 3 different redundant systems for making sure that nothing goes wrong. It's probably a little bit overkill, but I've only got one head and I rely on that for a lot. So I would advise, if you do something like this, make sure you have at least one redundant safety backup system. And if you're not fairly handy or don't know somebody that is, then I would find a different solution. They have door-mounted pull-up bar systems that will hang in a doorway. You can use that in conjunction with a chair. I like this system because, as I mentioned before with the bands, the resistance gets greater the further that you pull on them. So you can adjust where you sit or stand backwards to adjust the tension of the bands as you get stronger. Eventually I may work up to a pull-up bar. But I'm not there yet, so this is what I use for the time being. Alright, well that is the end of our equipment video. That is everything that you will need, not only for this routine, but for the more difficult routines we get into as the months roll by. The only exception you might get into is needing to buy some heavier weights as you get stronger, but that won't be for a couple of months down the road. So if you can put together what I've described in this video, you are 100% ready to begin. I would recommend talking to friends and family to see if people have stuff hanging around the house. Check in your own garage. I know I have a lot of stuff from past attempts at getting into shape that didn't really work out. And most of this stuff I was already able to put together from my existing inventory. So, you know, the goal is not to go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment or expensive workout clothes. You know, talk to your friends and family, see what you can find. And, you know, the most important thing is that you get started and keep press and play. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.